What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're here once again for Career Mode episode number 27 for the British Grand Prix. Make sure you check out the last episode if you haven't already, in Austria. Always a fantastic race. Love racing there, and I'm sure you guys love watching it as well. I think it was a little while ago since I uploaded that episode, so apologies about that one. But yeah, we're ready to roll into what might possibly be the most uncompetitive race of the season. We all know the British Grand Prix is a bit of a tough one for the player, so I'm not expecting any miracles heading into this race. Now, as we head into a new week, we have another problem for the team. We need to invest in some newer equipment, and that's going to give us a boost in resource points, so I think that's pretty much a no-brainer. We're going to go for it at only a cost of 50k, so yeah, let's smash it.
Thanks for dealing with that. The departments appreciate it.
And I'm sure Nico will appreciate that as well. So we're heading into a new week. We're going to delegate some activities for the team, boost, well, the departments really. That's what a lot of these activities were geared towards. One of them was for training for Nico. That was about it. Nothing too crazy in terms of resource points coming in or cash coming in. Basically, all we did was spend cash this week. But anyway, we did a major engine upgrade. That'll come on in time for the Belgian Grand Prix. I had to think about that for a second. And speaking of the Belgian Grand Prix, we're going to target more drag reduction. We're going to make this car even faster in a straight line. And we're going to upgrade the DRS mechanism. I think it's no secret that we've been a bit weak in qualifying, and this is always one of the last upgrades I like to go for, but this will definitely help us in race scenarios when we have to overtake people, but especially in qualifying. Maybe we've been losing out on that in the last few rounds or so, so hopefully that'll make us a little bit more potent in scenarios where we do need DRS. Speaking of updates, we have a bit of an uptake in performance, closing in on some of the teams around us. No one else really upgrading all too much heading into Silverstone, but we're riding a bit of a high of momentum. So let's see what we can do heading into this race. Practice went pretty well for us. P7 in the end. When I was setting some of my times in practice, we were like top 5, top 3 at times. So that was really encouraging. So I'm quite interested to see how we go when it comes to qualifying. Nico is going to be very strong here. The car is getting better, but this is a strong track for the AI. So if there's any chance that Nico is going to get a good result, it's going to be at this place. So hopefully for his sake, he can deliver, because contracts are coming up. Alright then, here we are for qualifying for the British Grand Prix. I think it's probably worth stressing that there's absolutely zero danger in Nico losing his seat, but he doesn't need to know that. Pressure makes diamonds. Anyway, we're going to head out now for practice, not practice 1, Q1, and we've left it right until the final 3 minutes of the session here. We're putting all the pressure on ourselves here to get the lap in right at the end of the session. I'm doing this to make sure we minimize the amount of running on tires that we do. Vettel gets completely in the way at the end of Sector 1, which is absolutely lovely. That's definitely cost us about a 10th there as we run through the middle sector now. Pretty much flat out through Copse and now through Stowe. Downshift a couple of times and straight back on the power. The amount of grip that this car has, the amount of downforce that it has is pretty special, I've got to say. But anyway, coming out to the final corner and up to the line. Where do we go in this session? It's P10. Well, P10 is actually pretty solid and right where I thought we'd probably be, if I'm honest. I can actually improve on that time as well if I had more running in this session, more laps. The qualifying is now complete. We bailed out of our final lap. We did have a corner cutting warning. But as everyone is crossing the line here to finish their final laps, we continue to get pushed down the order. We were P10, then P11, 12, 13, now 14th. As people continue to cross the line, we're down to 15th. 17th is us getting knocked out in Q1. Nico Rosberg is about to cross the line and he might knock us out. Where do we end up? It is P16 at the end of the session. So just making it through to the next qualifying session. And the same for Nico Rosberg as well. There's only 7 thousandths of a second separating the two of us. So we're very evenly matched on pace. I think if we have another session, and we will have another session, I think we've both got more to show in this next round of qualifying. So here we go for our banker run. Same set of tires we used in Q1, and instantly we go 2/10 faster. So yeah, track is ramping up a little bit, and I've spun in front of my teammate. I've nearly taken him out. Tiametmarduk has run out of talent, and well, Nico had the best seat in the house for that bottle moment right there, and I can't believe it. Pushing on for another lap. The tire's obviously wearing out at this point, and very, very lucky not to have a very expensive repair bill. Rule number 1 in Formula 1 is to not hit your teammates, and I gotta say that's a bit too close for comfort. Thankfully, we got away with that. Silverstone has some of the biggest amount of runoff between the road and the barriers, so even though it was a pretty massive off, we were able to get away with it. So yeah, we head out now for what is essentially our final run. Again, we're going out maybe a little bit earlier than what we should have, but I'm gonna try and strategically place myself in this grid if I can. If I do improve by a lot, which I think is, you know, a possibility, then, you know, we'll be into Q3 and that's happy days. But if I don't improve here, or if I only improve marginally, I might be able to get myself strategic pole position for this British Grand Prix. Strategic pole position is P11, where you've got the choice of choosing whatever tyre you want. So in terms of strategy, it is pole position. Hence why I mentioned it a lot on Twitter. Anyway, let's see what we can do. We're 4.5 tenths up as we round the third sector, so we're looking pretty good for the race. Either way, both in terms of pace or race strategy. We come across the line, and it's nearly 5 tenths up on our previous best. We dip into the 23s. It only puts us in P9, though, but we're 4 tenths away from Valtteri Bottas, who is currently on pole with medium compound tyres. And just about everyone is on medium compound tyres in this session, which is pretty darn ridiculous. Wow. The top teams are on another level. I thought we were somewhat close in this qualifying session to pull out that kind of a lap time, but then the top teams really put into perspective how far away we still are in the performance index. Anyway, Nico is out there on a final run. He's done a 26.4 to the first sector, which is 4 tenths better than what he's previously done, and he's found another couple of tenths as well in the middle sector. So Nico is looking very good at the moment for a top 10 in qualifying. Let's see if he can hold it together for the final sector of the lap. The AI, I don't know if you noticed, they were very, very fast through the high-speed S's in the middle sector. It's quite ridiculous how fast they are through there. Across the line, Nico goes into 4th place, only 1 tenth away from pole position, and it pretty much stays that way until Daniel Ricciardo switches from a medium to a soft run and banks in a 23.0, knocking us out of Q2. So there we go. We have strategic pole position for the British Grand Prix. Maybe I should have taken that session a little bit more seriously. If I would have got into P10, I could have knocked out Lewis Hamilton, who at the moment is kind of a championship rival, given how close we are in the standings. But I would never have guessed that Lewis would have been in P10. So how was I to know? Anyway, P11 is not too bad. We're going to start the race on the medium, finish on soft. And, you know, if we can stay with the race leaders on the slower tyre, then I think we might be in a good position come the end of the race. So hopefully it works out for us.
We return once again then to the home of British motorsport and the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. The 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula One faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Perez, Lando Norris, and Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly, Benjamin, and Yuki Tsunoda, Bottas, Ocon, Lance Stroll, and Vettel, Rosberg, they've taken a grid penalty, Russell, Marcus Armstrong, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Latifi, Tigtum, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the British Grand Prix, the home of Formula One, so they say. Let's check the race director and see what tyres everyone else is on. It is mediums for the front runners. No surprise there. But even the guys outside the top 10, surprised to see them opt for the soft, given that it's an easy one-stop. And, you know, Slipstream and DRS is so powerful around here. If you can hold on to, you know, the pace of the leaders with Slipstream and DRS on the slower tyre, then you're laughing by the end of the race. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to switch to the mediums, and we're going to finish the race strongly on softs. The only way that this race kind of unravels for us is if there's an awkward safety car about a third of the way into the race. So like lap, I don't know, 8, 9, 10. At a point where we can't go to the end from softs, and the soft runners can make a pit stop and get away with it, essentially, because Silverstone, I think, out of all the racetracks in the world, has the longest transit time through the pit lane. So a VSC or a safety car is especially important here. So pitting under a yellow flag is very, very OP. So if we can get away with something like that, that would be incredible. But stranger things have happened. 5 red lights, and we are underway finally for this race, and it looks like a good start up against Carlos Sainz. It's rare we get a good start on the Formula One game. We only get out dragged by Tsunoda, who had the better tyre, the better traction off the line. That's to be expected. Oh. I've got to say, but apart from that, we had a pretty good start, so I'll definitely take that. P9 off the start, a couple of people getting grid penalties. My teammate being one of them, and Valtteri Bottas in P11 there was the other. So hopefully, for the team's sake, Nico can find his way through. He is on the soft compound tyre, so he might be able to undercut a few people and make that strategy work, given how many people are on the medium. So who knows? We do have a lot of traffic to negotiate for us, even on our strategy, as we can see the back end starting to break away from us there, as we ask a little bit too much for the tyres on the opening lap. Still 3/10 away from Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Look at the dirty air washing us wide in the race. The car is definitely feeling a lot more cumbersome than what it was in qualifying, which I only did, I guess, in real time only a few minutes ago. So there's a big disparity between the amount of speed you can carry into the faster corners compared to, you know, what I was driving with only a few minutes ago on a light fuel load. So yeah, it's quite the adjustment, something in which the AI don't suffer from, but it's something we have to quickly adjust to on the fly. As you can see, Carlos Sainz trying to go around the outside of Pierre Gasly at Stowe. Doesn't quite work out for him though, and we're going to see if we can pick up the pieces here, as Carlos Sainz's tyres are now phasing in quite well compared to Gasly's, who are already starting to die off here on lap 4. But you can see side by side for these two guys through the last corner. Gasly getting a terrible run, and we're going to get the inside of both of these guys if they leave space, and they do. We're now up at a P7 in this British Grand Prix. I think there might be damage for Carlos Sainz. You can see the replay here. I tried to hug the inside as much as possible without getting a corner-cutting penalty, but I'm surprised none of these guys backed off at this point here. 3 wide into turn 1, which is really only a one-line corner, and it's Tsunoda. It was Tsunoda who knocked off Sainz's wing. It wasn't me. It wasn't Gasly. It was the guy coming through who had all the time and space in the world. Just drove into the Ferrari in the end. So it wasn't exactly our fault. I mean, it was partially our fault, but Tsunoda could have left a little bit more space and we all would have been fine, because Sainz actually didn't lose any wing. After the 2 bouts of contact, it was there, the final whack, which did the damage in the end. So a shame for Sainz, who definitely didn't deserve that. But we're going to take that position and run with it. P7 now in this British Grand Prix with quite the golfing performance from us to Leclerc. 3 seconds is the gap to get those guys. We let Tsunoda go, as there was absolutely no point in fighting that. I think Tsunoda was hell-bent on using all of his DRS to get ahead of us with the help of DRS. So I decided to let him go and see what his pace is like, but it's become apparent straight away that Tsunoda doesn't have the pace really to catch the guys ahead, which is a shame, given that the softs should still be somewhat strong at this phase of the Grand Prix. But you know what? The top 3, the top 4 teams, they're all very, very quick. And I guess the difference in performance is really being highlighted by this circuit. The amount of downforce that those guys have, coupled with drag reduction and all the rest, it's quite hard to compete with. So we're going to dispatch of Tsunoda and try and do the work ourselves in an effort to catch up with those guys, but it's going to be awfully tough without any help of Slipstream or DRS. All those guys are getting towed along by a Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. So it's going to be hard for little old me with no help from anyone to try and catch up to them, but I'm going to do the best job I can. There's only so much I can do with this car and these tyres, because if I push them too much through turn 1 and Stowe and the old turn 1, for example, the tyres really start to overheat. So yeah, we're going to have to take it easy if we're to get to the end in one piece. But there's the battle at the front. Daniel Ricciardo on the alternate strategy, I'm calling it now, on the softs, has got himself to the front and is dragging everyone else along with him. That second half of the race is going to be pretty painful for him, as everyone else is going to be finishing on the softs. But you can see for us, we're losing touch with the race leaders. We're 6 seconds back from Charles Leclerc, who is our nearest competitor. Daniel Ricciardo is into the pit lane as well for a set of... No, he's not gone on the mediums. He's on the hards. We've cut onto his POV about half a lap round into his next stint. And he's on the hards and he's in heavy traffic. So he might actually fall back into our clutches if we're lucky enough in the dying laps. Verstappen is now in as well. Does he go on hard compound tyres? Yes, he does. So interesting strats from the AI here. We are doing the one stop on the 2 softer compounds. But the people who have dived in early, Verstappen and Ricciardo, that's a bit of a foolish play. And it looks like Ricciardo has got some bigger issues now. He's out of the Grand Prix in that McLaren. So that is rather unfortunate. Race leader, only a couple laps to go. And now the safety car is out. We're diving in anyway because it was our pit window for soft compound tyres. And we're now in. So out we go onto the racetrack once more. We did get undercut by the likes of our teammate Ocon and Tsunoda. So you can see they're actually emerging on track ahead of us, which is
Up to speed now.
a little concerning because I thought we'd actually gain time on those guys under safety car, making a pit stop under safety car, but they've emerged in front of us somehow. You can see we're giving the old safety car a bit of a flyby. I'm not sure Bert Maylander appreciated that one, but there we go. Burning fuel as well, just to make sure we have the lightest possible fuel load to get us to the end of the Grand Prix. The fuel burn, again, is more conservative than what we think it is. I need to underfuel the car by even more than what I am. I'm not getting that balance right in the last few races, but we will get there. Whenever there's a safety car, you're almost guaranteed to get to the end on whatever fuel load you have. But we're getting ready for the safety car to come in now. And we're going to have to charge through some slower cars to get towards the guys that we're hoping to battle in this race. So hopefully a top 5 is on the cards. We have to get through our teammate Rosberg, then Ocon, then Tsunoda, and then hopefully the guys at the front can all hold each other up. You've got to remember that Verstappen is on hard compound tyres, and it's going to be holding up some of those people around him. So hopefully he can put up a good fight and back them up into me while I try and get ahead of my teammate who's not had a good run out of the old turn 1. And we're going to go the inside into the S's, up into P8 now. That was a very brave maneuver because I wasn't sure if Nico saw me there. He left the space right at the last second and we got through for P8. Ocon is next in the Alpine and we're going to see if we can maybe catch him by surprise. We're going to deploy a bit of overtake here on the run into Club and Vale, and look at the massive dive bomb there. Absolutely ginormous there. We had the confidence on this lap with the tyres being absolutely fresh. We just went for it and it worked. And now my teammate is going for the same move into turn 1. No contact, clean as you like. And it's going to go down into turns 3, 4, and 5 to see who can get the ascendancy of these two. But I think it's going to be Nico with a better run round the outside onto the straight. And that is P8. P8? Yes, P8 for the one-time world champion. 7 laps to go. Sonoda is next. Let's see if we can get him. You can see the difference in tyre pace is incredible. At this phase of the Grand Prix, we've already got a better car than him as well, so that only further amplifies the difference in performance. And in terms of straight line speed, we're all over this guy. So there we go, up the inside into Cops, and we're now in P6 in this British Grand Prix. Verstappen just getting overtaken by Lando Norris as well as we were making that move. Verstappen getting a horrible run through the final part of the Maggots-Beckett section. Norris goes through for P5 now, P4 make that. And he's going to be on a charge for the top 3 at this rate, with that McLaren being so formidable in a straight line. But yeah, there we go. You can see lap by lap, we were losing touch with Verstappen, even in clear air, soft versus hards. We still, even with the tyre advantage, didn't have any answer to Verstappen's pace, unfortunately. So it seems that the British Grand Prix has really highlighted the golf in performance between us and the top teams. There is quite a considerable difference, and the last few rounds, you know, luck has really gone in our favor and looked after us in many ways, but this is a straightforward Grand Prix, and this just highlights, under normal circumstances, still how far away we are really from the top guys in this sport. Hence why we're not a championship threat, I'd say, in this season. But yeah, it's the last lap of the Grand Prix now. I've realized Nico Rosberg is under a bit of pressure from Tsunoda, who recently got overtaken, but Tsunoda is looking pretty potent, so I thought I'd look after the car and not change gears at all through the first half of the lap. Then I realized Nico was catching me by a second a sector, so I swiftly put an end to that. Nico's now got DRS, and that's pretty much guaranteed that he's not going to get overtaken by Tsunoda. So it's going to be P6 and P7 in the British Grand Prix for us from Marduk Motorsport. As a team, that's a great result. P6 and P7. Speaking of great results, that's also a good one for Lewis Hamilton, who takes his 1,000,000th win at this circuit. Across the line, good team result, that one. Nico finally gets a result.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
And I think as well, Nico is going to get driver of the day. So hopefully that is the spring to form that my teammate can use.
Plenty of action here at Silverstone. It was a memorable race, and what an impressive victory. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
And so there we go. That is the British Grand Prix. Yeah, for those of you who are worried I was going to win the championship this season, I think this is a true reflection of where we stand in this season of career mode. Last few rounds, we really did have the rub of the green today. I mean, even with the safety car, we had a second bite of the cherry of having a shot at the front runners. Had a little bit of traffic in our way, which is a bit weird, I must say. I don't know how we lost positions to our teammate and Tsunoda, for example. But yeah, by the time we got track position again, the leaders were gone. So nothing much we could have done there. We didn't have the extra pace in hand to close them in. And yeah, that's just the British Grand Prix. It's very, very hard to fight here, even when you've got a good car. And we certainly do not. It's not a bad car. but it's not a great car either. It's somewhere in the middle, and it depends on the circuit that you come to. But we're still third in the drivers' standings, 20 points away now from Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas didn't have a good day. He as well started further down the field thanks to a grid penalty like my teammate, but he was able to fight his way back quite nicely. I actually don't know where Bottas ended up in the end, but I'm pretty sure we managed to beat him. But yeah, dropping to 4th in the Constructors. Red Bull had a good day. I think it was Sergio Perez getting P2. Verstappen was somewhat up there. He was a couple of positions up the road from me. And yeah, that was that. The British Grand Prix. Pretty good recovery. We did find a few places ourselves. So did Nico, which is actually the more encouraging sign to see that my teammate can actually overtake these days. And as well, it was a circuit which, surprisingly, is probably the most difficult to overtake because I really had to push to keep up with those guys at the start of the race and actually get overtakes done. But yeah, there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see plenty more racing game content. I'm not too sure what Grand Prix is next. I think it's the Belgian Grand Prix. So that should be hopefully a good one for us. The AI are pretty potent in high-speed corners, much like they are here. So hopefully we'll be maybe a little bit more competitive than what we were today. But then after that, Monza. I'm hoping for a race win there. If we're very, very lucky. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this more of a complete car. So working on the drag reduction and engine for now to make us more powerful on circuits like this. But keeping in mind, we still need to boost the aerodynamic capabilities of this car. Anyway, I am really waffling now. I'm going to go now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time. Oh, also let me know what random one-off videos you want me to do. Thank you. If you've made it this far, you guys are real ones. Comment potato if you made it this far. Okay, bye.